All of both sexes have flattened heads. January 4th, 1806. They are great higglers in trade and will be a whole day bargaining over a handful of roots. I believe this trait in their character proceeds from an avaricious and all-grasping disposition. January 6, 1806. The Clatzips, Chinooks, Killamucks, etc. are very loquacious and inquisitive. They possess good memories. They are generally low in stature, proportionally small, rather lighter complected, and much more illy formed than the Indians of the Missouri and those of our frontier. They are generally cheerful, but never gay. With us, their conversation generally turns upon the subjects of trade, smoking, eating, or their women. About the latter they speak without reserve in their presence, of their every part, and of the most familiar connection. They do not hold the virtue of their women in high estimation, and will even prostitute their wives and daughters for a fishing hook or a strand of beads. In common with other savages, they make their women perform every species of domestic drudgery. Notwithstanding the servile manner in which they treat their women, they respect their judgment and opinion.
Lewis and Clark knew that the tribes around them were greedy, immoral, and silly, and the same is true of stakeholders. They're too stupid to share your vision, so they must be manipulated and co-opted. You, a visionary leader, must know them well enough to manipulate them and make them think you respect them while you're doing it.
Supplier.
Great leaders like Bernie Ebbers and Dennis Kozlowski have always known this.
December 28, 1805. Directed several men to proceed to the ocean at some convenient place, form a camp, and commence making salt with 5 of the largest kettles. January 5, 1806. 2 men returned. They had not been lost as we apprehended. They informed us that it was not until the 5th day after leaving the fort that they could find a convenient place for making salt, that they had at length established themselves on the coast about 15 miles southwest of the fort, near the lodge of some Killamuck Indian families. They commenced the making of salt and found they could obtain from 3 quarts to a gallon a day. They brought with them a specimen of the salt of about half a gallon. We found it excellent, fine, strong, and white. This was a great treat to myself and most of the party. I say most of the party, for my friend Captain Clark declares it to be a mere matter of indifference to him whether he uses it or not. For myself, I must confess I felt a considerable inconvenience from the want of it. All right. Lewis and Clark made a mistake by spending the winter at the coast. They had nothing that they needed there. They had terrible weather, unreliable food supplies, but they did have one major asset, salt water, and plenty of it. So they took advantage of this.
What do visionary leaders do when things go wrong and employees or stakeholders question their decision-making? They accentuate the positive. Yes, we picked a lousy place to winter, but we got some great salt. Yes, our brokerage firm has been indicted, but we're getting very sympathetic media coverage.
A great manager once said, "The more I see of employees, the more I admire dogs. Dogs are loyal. They'll work their tails off for you, and they crave attention and praise. Makes them the ideal employees. If dogs had fingers, they would make better employees than most people. But some employees are almost as faithful as dogs. They deal with difficult problems. They sniff out new opportunities at ground level for profitability, and so on." But here's another way to look at dogs. Lewis and Clark's journal, January 3, 1806. We were visited by 6 Clatzips. They brought for sale some roots, berries, 3 dogs, and a quantity of fresh whale blubber. Our party from necessity has been obliged to subsist for some length of time on dogs and have now become extremely fond of their flesh.
No one likes to eat dogs. No one likes to sacrifice loyal employees. But employees and dogs must be sacrificed in times of crisis. That's why when the leader's vision is failing, he must first blame lower-level employees, those implementing his strategy. This is the only way to maintain confidence and commitment to the vision. If they're really loyal, they'll accept this without whining.
This is the secret known to all great leaders, from Lewis and Clark through Winston Churchill to today's great business visionaries. Your vision is under threat. You can no longer co-opt stakeholders, and you can no longer blame subordinates. As a visionary leader, this is your finest hour. At such moments, embrace the spirit of Lewis and Clark. The obstacles they overcame were rivers and mountains. The obstacles you must overcome are angry shareholders and angry juries. Seize on all information that supports your vision. Reject all information that doesn't. Never admit to anyone you have any doubts in your vision. And more importantly, never admit it to yourself. This is difficult to do, but those executives who cling to their vision till the end will forever remain heroes in their own minds. We have reached the end of our video. Here, and in the companion volume, I have distilled the writings of Lewis and Clark into 7 principles that are simplistic and easy to understand, and that conform to current prejudices about great leadership. First, embrace a grand vision. Second, this ain't no democracy. Third, maintain the majesty of office. Fourth, know and respect the tribes around you. Fifth, when you're by the ocean, make salt. Sixth, eat your dogs. And 7, never, never, never give up. Great business leaders of the future, enacting our uniquely American myths of leadership, will usher in a new age of doubt-free, visionary management. As long as we believe in these myths, we will continue to get the kind of business and political leaders we want, and ultimately, the kind we deserve.